For the past 57 years, the Pasadena Star-News has called the building across the street home. As the city payments for the Rose Bowl grew, so did the Star-News, expanding its size and coverage. Over the years, a lot of history has been chronicled by the people working in that building. Now the Night Raider paper is making newspaper history. Let's take a look inside. At first glance, this appears to be a conventional newsroom with the modern addition of front-end text editing terminals. On a closer examination, though, there's a whole lot more going on here. The difference is a conventional newsroom doesn't have something like this, a triple I's newspaper pagination system, where editors routinely lay out newspaper pages electronically. Editors now routinely paginate the Star-News on NPS terminals here in the newsroom, including, as can be seen on the display, all of the graphics that go into the page. Each of the halftones may be viewed for appearance and cut line correctness. The text and headlines are displayed in the actual typeface selected for the story. With NPS, the entire page is on view for the editor to judge its news content and aesthetics. This page, which has now been completely paginated with graphics, is ready to be released through the NPS system to be typeset. Pressing the button, the editor sends the completed page with all the graphics to the NPS file manager and disk storage. The file manager then electronically transmits the page to this InfoSet 400 page setter. An average page is completely typeset, including all the graphics, in about 3 minutes, automatically developed and output in about 5 minutes. Then the page is taken away to plate making in as little as 8 minutes after the editor released it. Meanwhile, the page makeup editors, losing no time, have been laying out other pages on the newspaper pagination system. John Freed is night editor and NPS systems editor for the Star-News. John, on a typical page, how does the system work?
Well, first of all, our reporters will go out into the field, gather information, come back, and write their stories on our text editing system. The front-end system also stores news from our wire services. Photos and line art are digitized in the NPS illustration scanner. In the first stage of pagination, the page makeup editors select stories from the local and wire lists on their front-end terminals. Then, each editor makes up partial or full-page dummies for the news hole by constructing rectangular boxes for the text, headlines, and digitized photos on their page makeup stations. There's no paper involved in this dummying process. The editors use only the electronic mouse and the function tablet at the page makeup station. All page dummying is done directly on the NPS system. That includes the layout of the photos, which are digitized and stored in NPS. This is what a completed dummy looks like. The number of graphic or text components, the rate of news development, and deadlines will determine how quickly the editor completes the page dummy.
Once you have a layout established, what's the next step?
Well, the makeup editors will assign the stories on their pages to editors on the copy desk. The makeup editors send electronic memos describing the headline and story sizes. Often, several makeup editors are doing this concurrently. The copy editor retrieves the stories in the front-end system, writes the headlines, and edits the stories. When finished, the copy editors will restore the stories in the front-end system. As the shift goes on, the volume of edited and sized stories builds up in the front-end system. Using that volume of finished stories, the page makeup editors move to the second stage of pagination. The stories called up are written into the assigned layout boxes automatically and shown in the real typeface. Viewing each story on the page, the makeup editor assures the fit.
I'm sure that every story isn't going to fit the space allotted. What do you do then?
Well, if the story is too long, the editor will call it up on the front-end system, make the necessary cuts, and then send it back through the NPS for final check on the page makeup station. If the story's too short, he can space it out automatically with one command right on the page makeup station. After that, when they make sure that the halftones and the line art are in place on the page, it can be released for typesetting.
What's the primary advantage of this form of electronic makeup?
The primary advantage is that complete quality control remains in the newsroom at all times. The editors are the ones who are making the decisions. If they decide that for some reason there's late-breaking news developments, they can remake the page with a minimum of effort, then they can proceed on to put the news stories in place or whatever changes are necessary and release the page again. But the main point is that the complete control for the quality of the page remains in the hands of the editors at all times.